What a week already. And it's only what, Wednesday? There is so much that has happened in the last week. It's unbelievable. So in this episode of What in the Ads is Going On, we're going to be focusing on what the heck is going on between Australia and Facebook as it pertains to news. So the word dropped last week that Facebook had pulled all news content out of Australia. And that came as a giant shock to pretty much everyone. It happened so suddenly. And this is in response to new regulations that the Australian government has been working toward. And Facebook decided to pull the plug. I guess the negotiations weren't going the way they expected them to. And I think based on what we're going to walk through as far as content today, we're going to see that it seems to be chalked up to a big misunderstanding according to Facebook. But we're going to kind of talk through some of the points. Now, I'm just going to preface this and say I am not an authority or an expert on this. Neither am I in Australia. I'm sitting in Canada right now. But this is a global issue that will reverberate through every single news outlet and every single step that Facebook takes forward. And we're looking at big tech and tech giants and how our world is getting so small in the grand scheme of things and how that power struggle is playing out in front of us. So we're going to dig into that. Before we do, I've got some intros and some fun stuff. And if you're catching this live right now, I can see you watching me right now. Make sure you drop a comment and say hello. I would love to know that you are here. With that, I am Amanda Robinson. I am the Digital Gal, and this is What in the Ads is Going On. And of course, this show is being sponsored by Restream. This is how I'm able to stream to you from multiple locations. So if you're seeing me in different Facebook groups, if you're seeing me on my Facebook page, if you're seeing me over on YouTube, there's multiple places that you might be popping up and I might be popping up in your feed. And that's thanks to Restream. So Restream helps people connect with their audiences and be able to reach people on multiple platforms. And it's incredible. I've been starting to dive a lot deeper into the Restream studio on how to produce different shows and use different features. Certainly something you want to check out. And I also have another show that happens every Thursday called the Video Marketing Show. And this week, aka tomorrow, I'm going to be talking about the algorithm, Facebook's algorithm, and how video impacts. How video plays in with the algorithm to see what goes viral and what doesn't, what type of signals are being evaluated. So if you want to get better, if you want to level up your video content, you're definitely going to want to tune in tomorrow to the Video Marketing Show. This, of course, is the What in the Ads is Going On show, happens weekly, and I'm glad that you're joining me. And I can see David Wilson is here in the house. Hi, David. It's great to see you. I'm glad that you're here. And we've got Lindy in the house. Lindy House in the house. See what I did there? Lindy, it's really great to see you. I know we're going to have quite a few people kind of spilling over from the Agora Pulse Summit that just wrapped up. I had a talk that was in the Agora Pulse Instagram Social Pulse Summit that just happened today. And there's lots of wonderful faces in there. We've got Derek Martin in the house. Hey, Derek. I'm glad you're tuning in again. Thank you. So the Agora Pulse Summit went down today, and it was pretty epic. They were using a new platform called Run the World, and it was very interactive. It's the first virtual conference that I've been to that had truly interactive networking opportunities that I've experienced so far. So the table talks where you can kind of pop into any of those different tables and table rooms and have conversations with different people based on different topics. That was really nice. Plus all of the sessions were cutting edge, all geared toward Instagram. And of course, my bestie, Jen Herman, was the closing keynote. She did a phenomenal job. So if you haven't had the chance to sign up for the Agora Pulse Social Pulse Summit, it is free. And it just went down today, so I'm sure you can still get tickets and catch all those replays for the next 30 days. Totally worth it. The other cool thing that happened today was this morning, I had the pleasure of presenting a live presentation at Unite 2021, which was a 24-hour, one of the first, I think it's like the first in the world, 24-hour conference, social media conference. It was phenomenal. So it's been a day. It's been quite a day. And to make other people's day, I always have this on the floor. Why do I always keep this down here? I made somebody's day. I love how the green screen's picking this up. I made somebody's day last week. Dina Pruitt was the winner of this portal. And guess what? I have another one that I'm giving away. Why am I giving away portals? Well, let me be frank. I'm trying to incentivize you to jump on my email list so you can get the live notifications of when these shows are dropping. So if you would like a chance to win the portal I'm giving away next week, you still have a chance. And you can head right on over to thedigitalgal.com/contest to enter for your chance to win the portal that I am giving away next week. So, of course, I like to give stuff away. I'm really excited that Dina was the winner of last week's portal. So, yeah, you've got a shot. You've got a chance. I definitely would highly recommend popping over there when this show's over, of course, and signing up. And Lindy is saying, dang, I missed it. Have to go sign up. Yes, you will have to go sign up for, I think you were saying, for the Agora Pulse Social Pulse Summit. You're definitely going to want to. The amount of content in there is high quality, top notch. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what's going on. What's going on? What in the ads is going on? And again, I'm prefacing this. I am not the expert here, but I do live on everything related to Facebook, so I'm catching the current news. This is literally unfolding underneath us right now. So last week, Facebook yanked news content out of the news feed for all of Australia, an entire country, just overnight, gone. News content gone. But on top of news content, other content got swept up in that too. So lots of our Australian friends woke up to notice that content from different health pages, different government agencies, welfare agencies, weather channels, and other content pages that aren't necessarily considered news, but for some reason they just got caught up in Facebook's net of pulling the plug on everything. So all these pages, all this content disappeared, was inaccessible to Australian users throughout this entire past week. And then, as of yesterday, Facebook reversed the decision. So there's a bit of a battle going on. Bit of a battle of the powers going on here, and I'm going to do my best to explain this. I've got myself some notes that I'll be bringing up on screen, but in the meantime, if you are watching this live, I want you to join this discussion because, again, I'm not the expert on this particular topic, but it's very important in my view that we talk about these things and have these conversations. So let me start with pulling up some conversation points here. So from an Australian perspective, from the Australian government, there's the view that tech giants, well, I shouldn't just say the Australian government. There is one camp on one side that views that tech giants are taking the lion's share of all ad revenue, and all of this ad revenue is being, not all, but a portion of this ad revenue is being fueled by the content that high quality journalists are producing. And journalists aren't getting the fair compensation that they need because news outlets are, well, if they haven't adapted and they haven't kept up with everything, there we go, JP's in the house. If the news outlets haven't adapted over time to keep up with the changing of our social media and internet landscape, then some of these news outlets have fallen behind, so to speak. And from that, they now rely on the ad revenue that they generate by getting traffic from Facebook to their own content. So we've watched it. We've all grown up with watching how this has gone down, where you used to be able to get a newspaper, everybody would read the newspaper, the ad revenue in newspapers made sense, right? You could buy a newspaper ad, it had a huge amount of value to it. Well, then tech giants like Facebook come along, and all of a sudden people are buying up all the ad inventory on the online space because that's where the attention span has gone. So these news outlets have to compete with the social media giants or big tech giants like Facebook, like Google, and the losers in the end right now are the actual journalists with their hard work on the ground doing the high quality work that are keeping accurate news and challenging societal superpowers so that we can actually get accurate news information. And we all know that news has been a very skewed, a very hot topic when it comes to Facebook because Facebook has been known for fake news. So Facebook has taken a lot of steps to combat fake news. Journalism is crucial to the democracy of lots of countries, including ours. So it is really important that news has that real news, quality journalism has the ability to reach the masses. And right now, Facebook is controlling one of those masses. And this is great. I love the comments coming through. Robert, you're watching live. Hi, Robert. Is that why it's so hard for the little guys getting ads approved? No, I think when it comes to ad approvals, I think Facebook's ads, well, actually, maybe a little bit. Facebook's ad system has been a little bit hyperactive, really touchy. It's super sensitive. And part of that has to deal with back when the election happened, Facebook had to dial up, or I'm assuming, Facebook had to dial up their AI, had to dial everything up to make the system a little more strong to counteract fake news and counteract any chance of anything impacting the election. So because of that, the AI, the artificial intelligence that looks at all of our ads to approve our ads or reject them, was going haywire. Ads from legitimate businesses were getting rejected all over the map. I think that's a completely separate issue. I think Facebook is doing a bunch of retooling, rebuilding, and there's a lot going on behind the scenes, and it's impacting the little guys like us from the ads perspective. But I think that's a separate conversation than what's happening here on the news side of things. JP is saying, plus tech companies don't pay any tax on ad revenue. Ah, I didn't realize that. So let's advance this conversation along and see what Facebook is saying. So, so are we competing with Big Corp for ad space? Yes. Yes, we are, actually. But the good news is local business and small business have a higher likelihood of being more relevant to the people that our ads are being served to. So relevance plays a big part in that. All right, so let's take a look at Facebook. Facebook is saying, this is an article they just released yesterday, a news update they just released yesterday. Facebook is saying they're chalking this up to a fundamental misunderstanding of the relationship between Facebook and news publishers. So they're saying that Australia has a fundamental misunderstanding of how Facebook operates as it pertains to news publishers. And that Facebook is saying, I've got another couple slides here. Let me move some stuff around so I can move my slides faster. There we go. So Facebook is saying that they generated approximately 5.1 billion in free referrals to Australian publishers. That's a lot. I mean, us little guys, like if I want to try and get referrals off to my website, I got to work really hard. I have to put really high quality content out there. The high quality content, by the way, is what's driving those referrals. A referral is if somebody clicks on a news article, that news article doesn't open up inside Facebook. That news article opens up on the publisher's site for the most part, unless they're using instant articles or AMP. Different story. So 5.1 billion in referrals in traffic, essentially, is being sent to Australian publishers from Facebook. And Facebook is saying that's worth approximately $407 million, Australian dollars, to the news industry. So by pulling this plug, that's a huge chunk of revenue that that the news industries are losing out on while these talks aren't really going well. And so... And Facebook is also saying that news only makes up less than 4% of the content people are seeing in the news feed. So meanwhile, Australia is saying, hey, you want to share our high quality content produced by journalists, and journalists should be adequately compensated for this content that they're providing to you, that you are sharing on your network that's generating all of this ad revenue. We want a cut of that revenue. And Facebook is over here going, whoa, 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 whoa. Hey now, news content only makes up less than 4% of the content that people are seeing in the newsfeed. Don't come over here onto my lawn and try and take a giant bite out of our pie that we've built. Meanwhile, news publishers are like, but you're building that pie based on our quality content. So it's this is where this whole fundamental misunderstanding comes in. And again, I'm still trying to wrap my head around this, but these are all talking points that I've pulled out of the last week worth of articles released by Facebook. All right, so regarding people assuming that Facebook is stealing journalism, Facebook says that these assertions, repeated widely in recent days, that Facebook steals or takes original journalism for its own benefit, always were and remain false. And I can see that. I can see that Facebook is not outright going out and stealing content from journalists and then amplifying it out among the ads network and making a bunch of ad revenue off of it. That's not how Facebook's system works. But at the same time, Facebook is trying to build up a system. Facebook's already made some deals with news publishers in other countries to be able to have a news tab. We don't have it yet, but coming soon. There will be a news tab, dedicated news tab, in Facebook that us as users can go and click on and get a curated set of news, get a news feed. Much like I use Apple News, for example, right now. So I open my Apple News, I get a very tailored feed of news based on my reading habits, and I think Facebook is moving in that direction. So I think Australia can see that Facebook is making all these moves to kind of take over the news industry, and Facebook already has a bunch of news issues with fake news and with earning revenue off of news outlets and journalists. So there are all these rumors, not rumors, but like they say, assertions that are floating around right now that Facebook is stealing original journalism for its own benefit, not necessarily the truth. Now, Facebook wants to point out that they're making the point that back in the day when the World Wide Web was first born, that the web has this fundamental principle of being an area where content can be shared freely, where it doesn't have to be paid for. Content can just be posted and shared across the entire world. So Facebook is kind of leaning on that pillar and saying that with the proposed rules that Australia is trying to implement as far as news content is concerned, Facebook is saying it risks breaching a fundamental principle of the web by requiring payment for linking between certain content online. Now, personally, I think Facebook is kind of diluting this a little bit, but they are making their point. So Facebook has one stance, and the Australian government has a different stance on this. And lots of people have their opinions, and I think that there's room for negotiation to everybody come to a nice happy medium in here. But where that line is, we don't really know necessarily. So Facebook has reversed their decision. They are going to be reinstating news content in Australia. I don't know if it's going to be happening overnight or immediately. It might take a few days or a couple weeks for it to be fully back up to where it used to be. But they will be reinstating it. And essentially what's happened is that this hasn't reversed the decisions of the Australian government in imposing these regulations. What it's done is it has slightly changed the language and delayed the onset of this. So it gives Facebook some more time to actually negotiate with news outlets themselves to strike deals and to come to an adequate compromise. And this comment in here, big data bullies. And you know what? They are. They actually are, because they hold the power. They hold the power of global attention span. Holding attention span to begin with is hard. Holding global attention span, that is quite a feat. And I know a lot of people are saying, Facebook is dead, but it's not. We're all still here. The ad revenue is still here. The backbone of information is moving through Facebook. There's entertainment happening on networks like TikTok, and on TikTok, you've got a younger generation that's on Snapchat. You have Instagram that is still here, always will be here. And all of these networks are sharing their different parts of the pie, but just the nature of how Facebook's platform is set up, where you can get served curated content in your own newsfeed. Click on that, go off to another website. It's easier than like Instagram. You're not really clicking on links unless you go to like link in bio. You're not really driving a ton of traffic to external sources through Instagram in the same way that you are with Facebook. So Facebook is still an information highway. And then David is saying video is the only way I can promote business with reach and views. And I do believe video is an absolute crucial part to any of your advertising efforts. And that's why I'm speaking a lot more on video marketing and the value of video marketing. So let's see, I've got a few more slides here of talking points to help move us through. Facebook is also saying that fewer than one post in every 25 in your newsfeed will contain a link to a news story. That's not future moving forward. That's saying in its current state that Facebook has been built in a way that fewer than one in every 25 is a link to a news story in your newsfeed, which is still a lot. Robert is saying, I find Facebook is turning more into a biz platform. It always has been a biz platform. I guess I see what you mean here, like compared to like LinkedIn, where LinkedIn has always been viewed as like the business platform. Facebook is definitely shifting that way. But you know what I think it is? We're aging with the platform. So I'm still technically a millennial. I'm on the upper threshold of that. But anyway, I'm a millennial. I'm getting older. I'm not far away from being 40. So with that, I'm maturing. It's Facebook has been through all of my college years, and it's been through my young adulthood, and now it's been through. It's kind of like, when you get a pet when you're in college, and then that pet is with you through thick and thin, and all of the trials and tribulations in life. Well, all of that for my generation is playing out on Facebook. That's where we have our photos and images of family and friends. That's where we share all of our life events. Facebook has been with us all the way along. But to your point, Robert, I think you're right. It is kind of shifting as we are growing as a generation. I think our online maturity is shifting and changing, and I think Facebook as a platform has been the go-to space where it is shifting a little bit. And I do see Facebook shifting eventually into the future into more of a shopping platform. I'm seeing all the signs all the writing is on the wall with how they're trying to morph Messenger into a blended cross-messenger platform. They've implemented shopping and checkout features within Messenger. They've implemented shops on Facebook and Instagram shops. They are wiring that into the ads platform with catalogs. There's a lot going on in the background that's indicating they're really going down a shopping road to take a hold of some of that e-commerce revenue that places like Shopify are taking a big chunk out of, and Amazon. So I think we're going to see the platform kind of skew in that direction, and with knowing that they're trying to strike deals with different news outlets, trying to be able to bring you a more curated news feed, a reputable news feed, and to squash all the fake news. So Facebook is absolutely maturing as a platform. But I also think Facebook is maturing as a business itself, as learning, getting their wrist slapped with, 4 years ago with the election and how a lot of fake news was spread on their platform. They're learning the hard way that with great power comes great responsibility, and they're being held accountable. So they're maturing as a business, and as a result of that, lots of changes happening in the background. Same with how the changes are rolling out with Apple's iOS 14 update as far as app tracking transparency goes. So now we've got Apple popping up on scene over here, basically saying, hey, yeah, all that data that you're riding on our devices with, yeah, you can't have that for free anymore. So we're going to take that back. And we're going to put that power back in the user's hands to say, do you want to let Facebook track you? Nope. So with that, we're losing visibility. We're losing some visibility, and it's going to disrupt the ads platform. Then you have Australia over here saying, hey, Facebook, you're making a lot of money off of our journalists, and journalism isn't free. Quality journalism isn't free, and you can't keep poisoning your platform with fake news. So we're going to charge you for that. And essentially, Facebook is chalking that up to, let me pull this forward. There we go. It's like forcing car makers to fund radio stations because people might listen to them in the car, and letting the stations set the price. So Facebook, on this other hand, is saying like, hey, whoa, yes, there's money and there's revenue in ad dollars. And yes, this content there is value in journalism. But there has to be this happy medium where they can all strike deals and come to a happy answer together, where Facebook still makes the ad revenue based on the platform that they built, as though, imagine like in this analogy here, if they were the car manufacturer, they built the car, and now they don't want to have to pay the radio station any fee that they set to be able to put a radio in the car. The radio benefits from being in the car because the radio makes money on their own ad revenue. So you can see how this is like this little bit of a fundamental misunderstanding, as Facebook is saying. And Lindy is saying they're trying to become a one-stop shop for everything. Yeah, they are. But the crazy thing is they have the power to do so. Same with Google. Now, I know this broadcast is focusing heavily on Facebook because that's the platform I live on, but Google's getting caught up in this too. There have been talks about Google pulling out of Australia. Now, I think those are just rumors. Google's taking a much different approach, but these conversations are taking place, and you can be guaranteed that all of these other countries are watching. So we're all sitting back and we're watching this drama go down like it's like it's the hottest thing on TV, even though we're not watching it on TV. We're watching it on Facebook. And it is a little bit scary to see how see how one giant big tech company can throw a fit and just pick up all their toys and walk away, leaving everybody hanging. And because a lot of our systems are so intermingled and intertwined with this, it did leave people hanging. Like how they were saying different health pages, government agencies, welfare networks, how that information was just plug pulled. And this is during a pandemic when global health information needs to make it to the masses, and Facebook is one of the fastest vehicles of information delivery next to some of the other social networks. So there is a responsibility going both ways, and I can really see that this is this is it's a relationship. It's a relationship that both sides need to keep healthy, and both sides need to keep working at this relationship to make it work for everybody, because it's not just a matter of Facebook being a company that wants to make ad revenue and make money and set their own rules. We are so, it's like a family, you know. You can't just break up the family and like the kids aren't going to be affected. We're all going to be affected by this in one way or another. So the decisions that come out of this monumental moment are going to ripple affect all of us eventually in the future, as to how journalists are compensated, how news is circulated. So this is very interesting to see play out. And let's see, this says, I'm actually on the side of Facebook on this one. The media, Rupert Murdoch, News Corp of this world are in the government's pocket, and they are the driving force behind this new code. I'm going to put that back up again. I would be very surprised if the journalists see anything from this once the monies are received from Facebook. Also agreed. Like, that's a really good point. There's more to this than we can all see. And in the end, the journalists shouldn't be like starving artists. Journalists have a responsibility to accurately convey the truth of what's really happening. And their opinion, I mean, there are opinion pieces, but news has to travel with unbiased truth. And unbiased truth doesn't necessarily lend itself to one side or the other. So each has their own interests. And I think you make a great point there that the media companies are not unbiased themselves necessarily. The governments aren't necessarily unbiased themselves, but the journalists that are trying to get this information across need to be adequately compensated so that they can continue to produce high quality journalism and help all of us get accurate information and not get lost in this whole cavern of online media that has kind of gone off the rails in the last bunch of years. Let's see, what other, I think I'm coming close to the end of my notes here. Struggle to adapt. Some media conglomerates see Facebook as a potential source of money to make up for their losses. That's just following along the lines of how a lot of media outlets, especially the smaller ones, have not adapted to keep up in our current online landscape. So this has made room for Facebook to move into that space and to take a huge chunk of that ad revenue away from traditional media outlets. Traditional media outlets have not adapted fast enough to keep ahead of Facebook and Google as far as the mammoth reach and influence that these large media companies, or these large tech companies have. So it is a pretty big struggle out there. I'd love to keep these comments coming. I would love to know more of your opinion, because again, like I said, I'm not a major authority in exactly what's going down. I'm soaking up all of this information myself. It's been quite a week with the two events that happened today, with the Agora Pulse Summit and with the Unite 2021 event that happened. So I had presentations in both of those. So I've been working really hard, head down, preparing my presentations for those events. Had the exciting opportunity to present for Unite 2021 earlier this morning at 7:30 a.m. my time. So that was pretty interesting. I'm usually not super coherent at that time, but I was up way early, caffeinated, ready to rock and roll, and that was fun. And then the Agora Pulse Social Pulse Summit, the Instagram edition, dropped today, and it was phenomenal. So I've been head down on those, focused on those events as well as client work. And then all this is unfolding in the background. And I find it very interesting because I remember back when, let me just put it back up here, there. So I remember back, was this a year and a half ago, 2 years ago now? I was going to the Dominican, and I was in the airport. It was with my family. We were going on a family trip back in the day when you used to be able to do that. And we're in the airport, And I realized that was the same day that the Facebook F8 summit was happening. So I'm in the airport. We're waiting to board our flight. And I've got my laptop open, my headphones on. I'm watching the Facebook F8 summit go down. And they're dropping all of these nuggets of news. Like it was probably one of the biggest ones as far as the, wow, like all the really crazy, awesome new features that were dropping at that point in time. And here I am watching all this go down as a Facebook ads expert over here. And I had to board a flight with no internet, not good enough internet to do anything as far as media is concerned, and then land in the Dominican and go to a resort with no internet, and then be on quote-unquote vacation for a week, and then fly back, and then slide back into work mode. A lot can happen in 7 days. A lot can go down in 7 days. I was left so far behind with my head spinning. Everyone else had already dropped all of the breaking news and all of the cool tech and features and bells and whistles that were announced at that Facebook F8 summit. So that was a really big pivotal moment for me, realizing that if I want to keep up and if I want to keep current in this industry in particular, talking Facebook advertising and Facebook, that a week to me is non-negotiable at this point. If I want to take a vacation, I'm certainly never doing it again during Facebook's F8, but this past 7 days has been another really good reminder with everything that's been unfolding between Facebook and Australia, with global news, Facebook removing removing all news articles and news media from Australia, and then changing their mind and reinstating it. It's like it's like pulling my head up from like working hard for a week and going, wait a second, what just happened? You guys broke up? You're not getting along? What did you say to you? What did you say to you? Like, come on, guys. Can't we all just get along? And then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, we're getting along again. And they're switching the lights back on. So yeah. There will be more information on this. More will come out on this. Right now we're in the throes of, Facebook has abruptly reversed their decision, and they are admitting that they maybe overreacted a little bit. But I'll tell you though, their overreaction sure has caught the attention of the entire global space. And Facebook has been saying that they've been trying to negotiate with the Australian government for 3 years, knowing that these changes will be rolling through. So I found that very interesting. And the other thing is that Facebook, in order to help the situation, is promising to make large donations to news. Let me see if I can find that donation amount. Not that article. This article. Just bear with me. So Facebook is saying that's why we've invested $600 million since 2018 to support the news industry and plan at least $1 billion more over the next 3 years. So Facebook is saying that they're going to be investing at least $1 billion more into the news industry in the next 3 years. They've also said they've announced deals with The Guardian, Telegraph Media Group, Financial Times, Daily Mail Group, Sky News, and many more, including local, regional, and lifestyle publishers, to pay for content in its Facebook news product in the UK. A new tab where you can find headlines and stories next to news personalized to your interest. Similar deals have been reached with publishers in the US, and Facebook is in active negotiations with others in Germany and France. So Facebook is trying to sink their teeth into the news side of things. They're saying that they are going to be investing $1 billion over the next 3 years into the news industry. So I'm sure that these conversations, we're seeing the tip of the iceberg right now. I think that both sides have gotten a little heated over this. Facebook overreacted. Now they've reversed their decision. They've changed their mind. Now, and Australia is backing off just a little bit by changing the language in their regulations, which is going to open up a little more wiggle room for Facebook to negotiate with news outlets in Australia to try and come to an adequate compromise that keeps both sides happy. So we're not done yet. This conversation isn't done yet. It's not over yet. It's just they had a bit of a heated exchange. Facebook overreacted. Facebook is calming down. Australia's going, okay, we should talk more. And I think there's still room for them to work it out. So, a lot of information, but there's a lot more to come out on that, I'm sure. All right, so this is that's the bulk of this one today. I do want to encourage you, if you want to get in on this week's contest. Again, I should not put this on the floor. If you want to get a shot at your chance at winning a Facebook portal, I highly recommend that you pop on over to thedigitalgal.com/contest. That's where you can sign up for my email newsletter, get notified when I'm going live, and what shows are happening and what the topics of those shows are. I'm going to be live again tomorrow. So this was like the heavy stuff. This was all the news related stuff. And tomorrow I'm going to be going live with the video marketing show. And that's at 1:00 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. And I'm going to be diving into talking about the algorithm and how some videos go viral, some videos don't. And what signals, what Facebook sees when it looks at video content, how it ranks that content, and how you can make better video content to help you with your own advertising. Robert's saying, is it worth opening a shop on Facebook? If you have physical products that you are selling, yes. If you are selling digital virtual products, no. Facebook shops are regulated much more heavy-handed than Facebook ads. So for example, a Facebook ad, I can run ads for alcohol. I can run ads for a winery. I can run ads for cider, for beer, for any type of alcohol sales. I can run ads for those to people of the appropriate age for the region that those are being served to and for the appropriate age for that country. So there's rules on what you can and can't sell on the ad side of things. But then Facebook Shops has its own set of commerce policies that are different than Facebook's ad policies. So in the commerce policies, for example, you can't sell any alcoholic product whatsoever. You just can't. It's not an approved product for sale in the shop. So it's banned. So if you try to upload any products that don't meet the requirements of Facebook's commerce policies, those products will get rejected, kind of like the same of how your ads will get rejected. And then that has implications for you as an advertiser. So Facebook and Instagram shops are still fairly new. And it's something certainly worth exploring if you have physical products. And Robert's saying, I have a paperback on Amazon I want to sell. Absolutely, you could. Yep. And you can either set it up to sell it on your website, so you can have the checkout and payment take place on your website, or you can have the checkout and payment take place on Facebook's platform. And if that's the case, then you have to make certain commitments to fulfill the order within 3 days of receiving the order, and have the item shipped within 7 days of receiving that order. So you have to be able to handle the fulfillment or point it to the platform that you're using for fulfillment. So yeah, I'm pretty sure Facebook shops and Instagram shops are worth paying attention to. They went through big rounds of testing with larger corporations, larger companies, and then it's just this past year that they rolled it down to the little guys like us. So get in there, test it out, play around with it, but just be aware that the ads policies are different than the commerce policies, and there's still a little bit of a learning curve to it, that's for sure. All right, and again, this lovely show, What in the Ads is Going On, has been brought to you by Restream. If you want to check them out, if you want to check this out for yourself and see how you can multi-stream to multiple platforms, up to 30 different platforms, you can head on over to thedigitalgal.com/restream and go and check that out for yourself. And again, when we're on talking about the conversation of video marketing and how video really is the way to go, certainly something worth checking out. All right, everybody, my name is Amanda Robinson. I am the Digital Gal. This is What in the Ads is Going On. If you do want to keep up with all the breaking news and the latest happenings in the world of Facebook ads, if you want to learn Facebook ads from the ground up, and if you just want support with your Facebook ads, you should head on over to swiftkickintheads.com and become a member of the Swift Kick in the Ads, and then you can hang out with me all the time. Anyhow, thank you, everybody. And Robert, I got to figure out how to put a green screen on mine. You know what's really funny? I have these cloths that I have these microfiber cloths that are from Canadian Tire, and they're green. So I picked one up earlier today when I was on a call, and it made me laugh. Anyhow, thank you for tuning in, everybody. I shall see you tomorrow at 1:00 p.m. Pacific on the Video Marketing Show, and then I'll see you again on this show next week. Ciao, everyone. Have a great night. Bye.